If you or someone you know has diabetes, you may have built up an extra supply of test strips and lancets. That's where we come in. We'll buy the supplies that you don't need and resell them to those in need to prevent waste. Help us make diabetes management more affordable. Visit us at teststripswithaz.com.
All right, we have Jordan Espinosa joining us right now. He'll be back in the Octagon August 3rd in Newark, New Jersey, taking on Matt Schnell. Jordan, how are you, man?
I'm doing good, man. Just been training hard and ready to fight already.
Well, I got to say, kudos to you on a crystal clear Skype connection. You got the headphones on. That doesn't happen very often in this sport, so I appreciate that very much.
Oh, no problem.
So we're a couple of weeks away from you getting back in there against a very tough guy in Matt Schnell. How has this camp been going? As it's probably going to start to wind down pretty soon.
Yeah, no, I could probably have another week and a half of really hard training. And then the last week, was just getting the weight off. And but up until this point, everything's good. Last camp, I was already hoping to get a fight in July or maybe the end of June was my timeline. So I started training about 2 or 3 weeks after my last fight. So I didn't have to get in shape for this fight, which is nice. I'm looking forward to it.
It's been quite a couple of years for you, hasn't it, Jordan? I mean, you get the Contender Series spot in August of 2017. You get a really quick finish, but you aren't awarded a contract. Then you have a tough fight in March of last year. You pick up a split decision over C.J. Anderson. You get another shot at the Contender Series. You finish that fight with 2 seconds left in the fight. Then you get a contract. Then you're scheduled to fight Mark De La Rosa in November. You have to withdraw from the fight due to an injury. And then in March, you make your UFC debut and you get a win. And that was a lot for me to even say, but you lived this whole thing. What have these last 23 months or so been like for you?
Man, they've been crazy. This sport is so unpredictable, and at this point, I'm honestly not surprised by anything that happens. I just kind of take it in stride. It's been a whirlwind, but I'm very appreciative and very grateful for my opportunities on the Contender Series, and the opportunity and being awarded a contract after the second time. I haven't had the typical, I guess, UFC pathway that some of the other guys may have had. I didn't go 6-0. It's been a 10-year grind. Started off my pro career at 4-4. So it's been a long time coming, but out of everything, I think it's just a testament to my persistence, my discipline, and my hard work. And it's finally these past few years shining through.
It's interesting you mentioned you taking sort of a different path than a lot of these guys, who start off 6-0. But I feel like with guys like yourself and others that have gone through it, I feel like you learn a lot more along the way. And there comes a time in every fighter's career, especially when they start out that way, where it just all of a sudden clicks for them. Like you work and you grind so hard, then all of a sudden, like it just happens, and you're like, all right, I'm here. Like the road to success is like I'm on it right now. Like I feel like nothing can stop me at this point. Do you remember that moment for you when that all happened, when everything just sort of clicked? Was it a fight, a training session? When did that happen for you?
So for me, it was more of a mental mindset kind of switch that I honestly consciously made on my own. Nick Urso, my opponent, I fought on the first Contender Series. I had fought him probably a year and a half prior to that. And up until that point, or at least a lot of time up until that point, I wasn't really having fun with the sport anymore. I was kind of doing it because it's what I had been doing for the previous 7 years, and it wasn't really fun, right? Like, and I just kind of, after that no contest, I just had like a, I don't know, conversation with myself, if you will, and was just like, why the hell are you doing this? If I don't have to do it. I have a computer engineering degree. I don't need to be fighting if I don't want to, but it's like, why did I get into this? And more than anything, it's because I enjoyed it. It was fun. And it's something that I truly love doing more than anything I've experienced. And so once I kind of grounded myself in that training, the process, and enjoying the journey is a huge part of everything. The wins have kind of just came on their own. I haven't even really so much thought about the results of each fight leading into it, more than just, hey, dude, you get to do this shit for a living. You don't have to be at a 9-to-5 desk job. And with that mindset I've had, I don't know, things have kind of fallen into place.
It's interesting you say that, how you had a mental conversation with yourself, and obviously things happened along your career, that there's some setbacks and some hurdles and stuff, like on the first Contender Series fight, like you're able to negate the no contest in a way, get a quick finish, you finished in under 90 seconds. And if something like that happened on like this season of the show, chances are that it's like 100%, 99.9 at worst, that fighter's getting a contract. On the flip side, it's a win and it counts, and it's obviously way better than losing. But did not getting a contract bum you out? Did it throw you off at all, or did you feel like it just motivated you even more so?
If I'm being honest, like after I won that fight, the contract was an afterthought. I wasn't even thinking about it. Even when they didn't announce me, I was like, oh, whatever. Like, I guess I kind of didn't really expect it. Didn't expect to get a contract, I guess, but I was just so happy with the win. I was so happy to have that opportunity. Kind of my own theories behind why I didn't get a contract was because I felt like that was probably more of a showcase for Nick to probably get a contract. He's had a couple of chances. And at that time, my record wasn't the greatest. I think it was at that time like 9-5 or something like that. And so I thought there was a decent chance that I probably wouldn't get it just based on that. They kind of like guys, like I said, that are undefeated or young, like super young or whatever. And not only that, during that day, I think it was the exact same day, probably during my fight, is when John Jones had tested positive for performance enhancing stuff.
That's right.
And so that's what everybody was talking about. Dana White had a media scrum right after that. They didn't even talk about the Contender Series. So that, and then the one other thing, another local guy, Joby Sanchez, was on there for his second time, also a flyweight. And they kind of have this thing going that if you win 2 times on the Contender Series, it's like 100% chance you're going to get in. And he won that night. And he was a flyweight. So I was like, yeah, he'll probably get it, even though I won more impressively. So I wasn't really shocked. I was just super happy that my friends and family were there, and that I had the opportunity, and I got back a win that was pretty big on the regional scene. Me and Nick had some history there, so that was nice. I honestly wasn't expecting the contract, and I wasn't too bummed that I didn't get it.
I think that's so fascinating, because a lot of fighters I talk to, especially that are on this upcoming season, are like, I'm just eyeing that contract. Like, I look at it in a whole different way, because obviously, like, getting the contract's great. That's huge. You're in the UFC. But at the same time, like, this is still your chance to, like, fight and showcase yourself in front of them. So even if you don't get a contract, like, you're still on the top of their minds. So if, like, somebody falls out, a short notice opportunity comes to fruition, you're right at the top of their list. Like, you're on that list immediately. So it's interesting that you looked at it in that way. And now you're in the UFC, and in March, you made your debut. You get the win over Eric Shelton, who's a very tough, super gritty guy. And it's been an interesting time, because it seemed like every single flyweight fight that's happened over the last several months heading into that fight was, well, we're about to watch the last flyweight fight in UFC history.
Yep.
This is one of the last ones at 125. Drink it in, everybody. And I know you pretty much had accepted that going up to bantamweight was going to be kind of your path heading in for a couple of different reasons. But at any point, were you like, man, like, I have to win this one, because with the future of the flyweights and the flyweight division, I don't even know what the heck's going on here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, there was a definite sense, and there still kind of is a sense that every flyweight fight I have is my job may be on the line, right? But if I'm being honest, and I think this is probably a testament to just being a veteran now and experience in the game, maybe not on the UFC level, but just experience in general. I don't really think too much about that. I don't really put that extra pressure on me that this may be my last, I may be fighting for my job for every time I fight at flyweight. I just honestly try to go out, or I put in the work in the gym, and then try to go out and have my best performance possible for that night. And I think that if I keep that mindset, and along with the having fun stuff and just doing what I love, my skills will shine through, and it'll be really, really hard for people to beat me. And so I'm not too worried about my job security in that sense.
When you were offered Schnell and the contract read it was going to be at 125 pounds, were you surprised by that?
I was surprised only because me and my manager had basically a week before had just talked, and I was like 99% confident that I was moving up to bantamweight at that point. And then he called, he's like, "What's your weight at? Can you make flyweight?" I was like, "Yeah, how much time?" And it was about 7 weeks out or whatever. And I was like, "Yep, let's do it." The nice thing is that I'm ranked at flyweight, even though there's only like 12 of us. I'm still in the top 10, which is interesting. But so on paper it looks better. And yeah, I don't know. I honestly think they should probably just how they started the flyweight division. They set up a tournament, and they had I think it was an 8-man tournament. And I think to get things going again, if they are planning on keeping the division around, that's one option they should look into, because I think it would bring more exposure to the division, and they could sign some more flyweights, and it'll revitalize the division in my opinion. So
I agree with that. And
I was surprised, yes.
Yeah, I bet. I was surprised too, especially listening to you speaking to the media after your win. You're saying that, I've kind of accepted it. I usually can fluctuate closer to 160. I mean, so I was like, all right, he's kind of accepted that. So I was surprised to see that at flyweight as well. And then going back to that Shelton fight, it's obviously huge to get that first win out of the way once you're in the UFC. But going back and kind of looking at that victory, looking at your performance over Eric Shelton, were you happy with the performance overall? What did you take away from that?
From a mental and composure standpoint, I was very happy. I felt really relaxed. I felt confident. And I think a lot of that had to probably do with the 2 Contender Series fights. Those are pretty high pressure situations. I was probably more nervous for the first Contender Series fight, than I was for my UFC debut. Second Contender Series fight, I was cool as a cat. Wasn't very nervous. But my debut, I felt good. I got a full 8 or 9 hours of sleep fight day, which never happens. Yeah. So from a mental standpoint, composure, I felt really good. From a technical standpoint, I felt like there's a lot of things I could have done better, but I was more than anything grateful that I was able to go out and kind of not freak out, and put in some good work against a very tough opponent, a veteran who's had 6 UFC fights leading up to that fight. I think he was 2-4, but 2 of those are split decisions. He could have very easily been 4-1. He was a tough guy and a really well-rounded guy. Fought some of the best in the division, was on the Ultimate Fighter. And this fight I feel is similar. Schnell was also a 5-fight UFC veteran, fought on the Ultimate Fighter, also lost to Tim Elliott, just like Shelton. Yeah, I mean, I look at this as I look at that first fight as a big test for me and my skills, but also something I was able to prove to myself that, yeah, I belong here.
Schnell's career path is kind of similar to yours too. 10-year grind. He was on Tough. You were on the Contender Series. So there's a lot of similarities here. He's been looking really good as of late. He lost his first couple fights coming off the show, but since then he's won 3 straight. He just submitted Louis Smolka in the first round of his fight back in March. Has Matt been a guy you've been paying attention to at all before they offered you this fight?
Yeah, we've actually been friends on Instagram for a while, but one of my old mentors / high school wrestling coaches / best friends was Damasio Page, who used to be in the UFC. So he was the LFA champ, or the legacy champ. And after that vacated, Matt became the legacy champ. And I think they were even scheduled to fight once. So I've been following Legacy and all them for a while. So yeah, I've been following Matt. Basically, I didn't watch MTV Caged, but I've been following him since basically about maybe 4 or 5 years now, since even before the Ultimate Fighter. So yeah, I think it's gonna be a fun fight. He's like Eric Shelton. He's really well-rounded, has a very good submission game, has very good hands. I'm looking forward to it.
I can't believe you just dropped MTV Caged on me. I was not ready for that. It's been a while since I heard that one. Unbelievable.
That's where he made his first public appearance.
Wow, that's so funny. You both obviously heading into this fight,
Yeah.
you bring a lot of different strengths to this fight, and on paper, it's a really good matchup. Like when it was announced and I saw MMA Junkie report, I was like, all right, this is a good one. When you look at your game, your demeanor compared to Matt's, you know, you guys have similar experience in cage time and so forth and so on. He's a little more octagon time than you, but you know, what do you bring to the table? Like, what's that intangible you're going to bring to Newark that no matter what Matt does, there's just nothing he's going to be able to do to stop it?
Yeah, like I said, if I'm able to bring over keep the same composure, same mentality into this fight, that's one big key. The other thing that I think a lot of these guys, just kind of surprising since it's the flyweight division, and I think this is what also kind of caught Shelton off guard, is that I've yet to fight a fighter that's moved better than me or that's been faster than me. Footwork wise, movement wise, hand speed, I've yet to fight a fighter. It hasn't happened yet. The closest thing in my head would be Demetrius Johnson, but I obviously haven't fought him. So I think he's going to have a lot of difficulty with my speed and movement, as most people do. If you watch any of my fights, I make a lot of people miss. It's hard for them to time when to come in. So I think it may not be so much of an intangible. I think that is one tangible and one aspect of my game that I can rely on heavily no matter who I fight. And a lot of the guys that Schnell has fought, they don't really move as much as me. Luis Smoka's kind of a plotty, jiu-jitsu, slow on the feet kind of fighter. Naoki Inoue is also a striker that kind of just sits there, bites down, pumps out jabs kind of type of fighter. I'm not that fighter at all. I'm in and out. I move a lot. He's going to have a hard time hitting me. He's going to have a hard time evading my shots. And I expect that to be a key advantage for me.
You seem very relaxed. Like obviously that switch that you sort of flipped mentally has paid off. You're just very calm, cool, and collected. Do you allow yourself to, I mean, game plan, essentially you have the mental aptitude to just like, you know, go with whatever flows, but do you allow yourself to visualize how the fight plays out? And if so, how do you see it playing out August 3rd in Newark at the Pro between you and Matt Schnell?
Yeah, I try not to focus too much on like what's exactly going to happen or how I feel like things will go, just because I like to leave my mind open for the ability to adapt in case things don't go my way. But yeah, on the flip side, on the same token, I'm also a pretty analytical person by nature. So I have watched film on him, and I do make comparisons and things that I'm like, oh, I could probably exploit this weakness there, or my strength would work really well there. But honestly, I feel like I could get a finish. He's been finished by submission and he's been knocked out. I think I could hurt him on the feet and then maybe force a submission. If not, it'll be a 3-round war, and I'm perfectly okay with that. Getting that 3-round victory in my first fight, I thought was another notch under my belt. Big experience for me just to get 3 rounds in the octagon instead of going out there and winning in a minute and a half. So I would welcome that. I have no problem going to decision. He's a tough guy, and I wouldn't be surprised if it did go there.
When you look at the flyweight division currently, like you said, there's like 12 guys in the division, you know, compared to what it looked like a few months ago to where it is now. I mean, it's just crazy. I mean, Cejudo beats DJ, beats TJ, then he goes up to bantamweight and he beats Marlon Moraes, and he has the 2 belts. And then Joseph Benavidez does what Joseph Benavidez does a few weeks back, picks up the big win over Jussier Formiga. And Cejudo has just gotten a lot of attention on this division. Like, Demetrius, as great as he was, Demetrius wasn't able to generate this kind of attention before. But what have you made of, you know, being a flyweight? What have you made of this rise of Henry Cejudo and what he has done to really put this division in a totally different light than it was like a year ago?
Yeah, I mean, it's weird. It's great for Henry. At first, his whole thing was save the flyweight division. Now it's kind of interesting because, yes, there's a lot more eyes on the flyweight division, but it almost seems as if he's not trying to be a part of the flyweight division anymore. But I think it's good. I don't think it's bad at all, because anything tied to Henry is obviously tied to DJ, was going to be tied to TJ. And both of those guys at one point were tied to the flyweight division. So, and then Joseph having that spectacular win over Formiga a couple weeks ago. I mean, I just think it's only getting better, right? From maybe a year ago when they were talking about getting rid of it and no one was really even thinking about any flyweight fights. We've had 2 flyweights basically that have come out with some big wins and that have put some eyes on the division. Other than that, like in terms of trying to bring up the rest of the division, I do think you got to sign some more flyweights, right? You gotta promote some flyweights and maybe make some marquee matchups. I think part of the reason that it's gotten bigger now with Henry than it did with DJ, at least with sole focus on one athlete, is that he was willing to go up and fight. He did go up and fight TJ. He did go up to fight Marlon Moraes. Like some of those hard fights that DJ May were reluctant to give a shot. Henry's done it, which is nuts. A lot of people at 135, just from a physicality standpoint, are 5'8", 5'7". Henry's like 5'3", but like it's impressive. It's definitely impressive, and I don't necessarily think he's like technically spectacular in anywhere except for maybe his wrestling game. But it's cool to see. And it kind of hurts a little bit because like DJ is like, I don't know, like the greatest of all time in my eyes. He's the best to ever do it. And I'm not really convinced that Henry beat him the second time, but it's cool to see. It's new. It's refreshing. It's something different that the fans have seen. And it's only been within the past year. So I expect things they can only get better from here.
With the division being on the lighter side in terms of talent, and I know you probably don't want to think too far ahead or look past Matt Schnell or anything like that. I'm not asking you to really do that, but I'm sure the thought has crossed your mind at some point. When do you see yourself like in that conversation, realistically, with the Benavidez's, the Formigas, even the Cejudos? Like, where do you see yourself in that mix in terms of like time frame in the future? Do you think it's like a year from now, less? Like, have you thought about that?
Yeah, of course I think about that stuff. It's the goal, right? To compete with the best guys in the world. I mean, I'm currently in the top 10, so technically I'm doing that, but to be competing against the champion, that's something you always think about. I don't know, man. It's just, a win, maybe 2 more wins. I'm in the top 5 and I'm there competing with those guys. So, probably this time next year, I'll be fighting for a belt. That seems kind of crazy because the year flies by. The older I get, I'm learning that. But yeah, this time next year I could be fighting for a belt, and that's super exciting. With only 12 guys or how many ever in the flyweight division, I think putting on a win streak 4-0, 5-0, not many people have that right now in the flyweight division. I think Joseph's on a 3-0, and he's next in line for the belt. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it, and I bet if I had to put my money on it, this time next year, get two, maybe 3 more wins under my belt, and title shots staring me in the face.
First, it's Matt Schnell, August 3rd, Newark, New Jersey on ESPN. By the way, how pumped are you to be fighting on big ESPN in a couple of weeks? That's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, that is pretty cool. I think most people my age kind of went through the phase of coming home from school or whatever and just watching ESPN and watching reruns of SportsCenter, the same stuff over and over for 5 hours. And yeah, I was a bigger sports fan than I am now, but it's pretty cool to see. Like, it's awesome where the sport has come from, even when I started 10 years ago, where it was like Spike or Fuel T stuff. Like, I'm pretty pumped. It'll be awesome.
Jordan Espinosa joining us on the show as he gets ready to take on Matt Schnell a little over 2 weeks from right now at the Prue in Newark, New Jersey, UFC on ESPN. Jordan, before we let you go, man, let the folks know where they can follow along with you on this journey via social media. Any shout-outs, anything else you want to get off your chest, the floor is yours.
Sure. Shout out to my team, my coaches at the Trail Yi MMA in Albuquerque, New Mexico. My social media handles are StateChamp103 on Instagram, same on Twitter, even though I'm not that active on Twitter. And yeah, man, tune in. It's going to be a fun fight.
Thanks, Jordan. All the best to you August 3rd in Newark, New Jersey. Great catching up with you for the first time.
Thank you for that. I appreciate it.